Welcome back to one of my videos. In this video, I'm bringing you guys the Elemental worst to best tier list. Now, I'm going to be going through some of the worst ones more quickly than usual, just because there's so many EKGs in the game. There's actually 23, which is a lot more than I even thought there was. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, we're going to like sports, go back to the video, guys. Alright, so coming in 23rd place is going to be the Bolt Bloodline. Now, the Bolt Bloodline, it's definitely going to be in 23rd. I do feel like it's the worst EKG in the game, even though, as you guys can see, the damage output is not the worst thing in the world. A lot of these abilities are almost impossible to hit an actual fight, and obviously, that's not very good for a bloodline in the game. Now, coming in 22nd place is going to be Inferno. Now, the reason why this is going to be coming to second to last, these abilities, even though they actually can be used in combos, they are okay, you know, in all senses of the word okay. They're kind of just bad. In most of the cases, they're just going to get you into a scenario that you don't want to be in, especially in this meta with the perfect block. They're really predictable, making it so perfect blocking is a really good counter to Inferno, which makes it even worse than it actually is because the abilities are meant for combo extending. All right, so coming in 21st place is going to be Nature. I'm not going to really gonna talk much about this. As you guys can see, sometimes the abilities literally don't hit him, and obviously, you know, that's not a good thing when it comes to a bloodline. The stun is good, but there are better stuns now in the game, but the stun actually used to be one of the best in the game. Now, coming to 20th place is going to be Steam. Steam's going to be coming to 20th because I do feel like Steam, it isn't quite as bad as Bolt because Steam has actually gotten buffed while Bolt obviously has not gotten buffed. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Now Steam, pretty much every ability is almost instant or instantaneous, and overall Steam isn't the worst EKG in the game, but it definitely is very low down there, as you guys can tell from the actual list. Now, coming in 19th place is going to be Gold Sand. Gold Sand, you know, I'm going to be pretty quick with this. The damage output is lackluster. All the abilities are copied from other bloodlines, and overall Gold Sand, it's kind of just a, you know, it's kind of just there. That's pretty much the best way of explaining Gold Sand. Now, coming in 18th place is going to be Mud. Yes, you heard that correctly. Mud is not last place. Unironically, Mud is actually decent as a bloodline itself. I gotta say, the second ability, they should definitely put it on the iframe attack global cooldown, take it off the auto dodge global cooldown because it's still on that. By the way, bro, guys, if you watch that, you should probably do that. But other than that, Mud actually does do quite high damage output with the third ability right here. Boom, boom. 60k damage. The first ability is good for combos, one hand side, stun. There's not really much to say about it. I mean, it's Mud. Like, come on, bro. Now, coming to 17th place is going to be V-Mud. V-Mud's going to be coming to 17th because while I do feel like V-Mud isn't the worst thing in the game by, like, any stretch of the imagination, the moves are usable. It's not like they're bad, but there's definitely a lot better, especially with some of these abilities. They actually remove the end lag off the third ability, so it actually is really usable now, but it still takes hand size. It's not instant anymore, and overall, the abilities, there's usually just better replacements that you can use, but they aren't terrible. Now, coming to 16th place is going to be Menza. Now, Menza's going to be coming to 16th because I do feel like I was a little bit too harsh on Menza. It actually can be useful. I have actually used it myself, and, you know, if you guys, you know, like using Great Spiraling Spirit Bomb, obviously Menza is going to be very fun to use. It's not like it's the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not even close to being the best. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Have you remembered to hit the like button on the video yet? If you haven't already, go ahead and do it. Now, coming in 15th place is going to be Ice. Now, the reason for this is because this first ability is by far one of the best combo extenders or starters in the game, just because it has slight delay to it that it actually stuns them because it does have hit stun in it. It actually stuns them. It's actually it's quite literally the full essence of being a stun move, but it stuns off of the hit stun. As you guys can see, look, every single time that hit stun actually activates, it is actually a stun. But other than that, Ice, the other abilities to Ice, they're okay. I mean, they're not great, they're not bad, and yeah, the first ability kind of just carries the bloodline. Now, coming to 14th place is going to be Tsunami. Tsunami's going to be coming to 14 simply because it is so good for PvE content. I feel like I had to rank it a little bit higher up just because of that itself. Now, coming to 13th place is going to be Crystal. Now, the reason for this is because Crystal has actually been buffed. Previously, the second ability was the only good ability of Crystal at 94,000 damage from a single common ability that you can integrate into combos. Yeah, that's pretty good. But other than that, Crystal, the first ability, as you guys can see, it's extremely buggy. For some reason, it doesn't trigger after you actually use it, and sometimes it doesn't even trigger at all. Not to mention that the third ability is also extremely hard to hit. It's almost impossible to hit the third ability on anyone that's moving. But if you do hit it, it does do a lot of damage. As you guys can see, 70,000 damage is it's quite a bit of damage. But the reason why it's going to rank this high is definitely because of the second ability alone. It kind of just carries the bloodline in all honesty. Now, coming in 12th place, and I never believed I would ever say this, is going to be Lava. Lava is actually good now. So as you can see with the first ability here, we do actually have the damage counter, so you guys can see how much damage it does. First ability does 42,000 damage. The second ability, okay, I'm not gonna lie, the second ability, I feel like they kind of just went like, okay, the second ability, we're not gonna, you know, make that better. Second ability is not great, but this third ability is absolutely insane. So the third ability instantly did 50k, 85,000, 101,000 damage, and that doesn't even involve you dragging them through it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use Menza Chain just to show you guys how busted the actual lava move is. So Mensa Chain, and then I'm going to use Lava Third. And just look at the damage. It just did 140,000 damage from a single move. And even if you don't use that and just M1 combo them, it does 100,000 damage. That's a lot of damage for a single move, man. Now coming to 11th place is going to be Sound. Sound's going to be in the 11th place just because it has an absolute massive amount of damage output. But the first ability of Sound is quite literally useless. You're never going to find any use. But the second and third ability of Sound definitely make up for it in the damage output they actually have. Not to mention that those two abilities are actually extremely easy to hit. But the first one, you know, it being a completely useless ability and that in most times will actually hurt you more than it helps, obviously was going to make this rank a little lower than it probably would have otherwise. Now coming to 10th place is going to be Atomic. Atomic actually does quite a bit of damage output for being an EKG itself. Not only that, but Atomic is actually pretty easy to use. The second ability, you know, pretty much auto tracks the people, and the third ability is definitely a, you know, not a bad stun. It's actually a pretty good stun in my opinion. So it kind of just has everything you would want out of a Bloodline, and it being an EKG obviously makes it better than what it would be otherwise. So coming in 9th place is going to be Frostfire. Now the reason why it's going to rank a lot lower than Scorch is because it actually does quite a bit less damage when you use all the abilities together. It does quite a bit less damage. I think it does like overall 25,000 less damage, and that's quite a bit, you know, considering the new system in the game. But you know, Frostfire still does all the same things Scorch does, but that stun can actually mess up your combos sometimes. Now coming in 8th place is going to be Explosion. Now this may actually surprise some of you guys. If you guys do not know, Explosion has actually gotten buffed, and even before it got buffed, all the abilities are actually very close to being instant abilities. But this second ability is a block break ragdoll, an instant ability that is close, so you could throw it into any combo and you could basically do an instant 45,000 damage while also simultaneously being an insanely good combo extender. So yeah, honestly, just for the second ability alone, Explosion is going to rank high because of that, but the actual other abilities of Explosion aren't the worst thing in the world either. Now coming in 7th place is going to be Emerald. Now this is actually a Bloodline that has fallen out of the game for quite a long time, despite actually being good. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, Emerald is actually quite a good Bloodline. The second ability, if they walk around in it, obviously does more damage. First ability is kind of like Crystal Second, but it's like a shotgun instead. I feel like Tengoku was definitely made to be like Emerald. I think that's a really cool thing as well. But the third ability of Emerald is like so good. For some reason it's glitching right now, but when you hit someone, it actually has the ability to move stack, so you can use abilities while you're actually using the ability of Emerald. So I feel like Emerald is definitely a very underrated Bloodline, and you know, it's kind of funny to say, look, 130,000 damage because he walked around a little bit. Yeah, all I'm saying is that Emerald is it's a lot better than people give it credit for, and it's definitely a really good EKG. Now coming in 6th place is going to be Web. Web is still the super omega busted broken EKG it always has been. But the reason why it's not as good as it used to be, for some reason, the air combo knocks you into the air. I don't know why. It always does that with this ability specifically. Sometimes in other abilities it doesn't do that, but this one, it always does. The second ability, you can actually move stack during it, so I just used Web, and then now I'm using Hurricane Fist. You can actually move stack the second ability, which is obviously a really busted thing. And the third ability is a travel ability combined with a stun attack. So yeah, Web is a pretty good EKG. It always has been, and it probably always will be. Now coming to 5th place is going to be Scorch. Scorch is going to come into 5th just because it has the highest damage output of any EKG in the game when you use every single ability. 150,000 damage instantaneously from the actual abilities. Not to mention the second ability, for some reason, has a 5-second cooldown. You know, I've seen people that have actually made their entire moveset around just running away and spamming Scorch on people. And it also is really, really easy to integrate into combos. It's probably one of the easiest to integrate into combos Bloodlines in the entire game, just because you can just literally throw in the first ability and it's just passive damage increase. Now coming to 4th place, it's obviously going to be Blood, guys. You guys knew that Blood was going to be top 5 on this list. Blood has by far one of the best stuns out of any Bloodline in the game. And the fact that it is equipable to element slots makes it just that much better because you can integrate it into combos more easily. And overall, just Blood, I gotta say it, Blood is kind of like an 8 out of 10 when it comes to being EKG. The abilities, you know, they are very, you know, predictable in all senses of the word, but when you start including them into combos, that's when the potential starts to shine. So just because of the combo potential alone, that's why it's going to rank this high on the list. So coming in 3rd place is going to be the newest Blood in the game, Jinchiki, which is actually an EKG. It has no mode, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the third ability first. It is a counter. Now, please be aware that the counter can actually be canceled sometime, but if you do get the counter off, the counter is by far, I'm not going to lie, guys, if they would fix the counter getting canceled sometimes, it would be the best counter in the game. Hands down, without any glitches, it would be the best because it is a really, really good counter. And you can equip 2 element slots, which is obviously makes it even better than it should be. This second ability, I gotta say, guys, this second ability, people are hardcore sleeping on the second ability. This second ability actually drains chi from them. It cancels hand signs. It auto tracks perfectly. Like, I've had the ability where I used it on them, and they would, I mean, they like flew around the map like a race car, and it still hit them and canceled their hand signs. And obviously, guys, the first ability, it's a stun move. It's on the stun global cooldown. It's like the counter move, but without the counter portion of it. So the first move is basically just the counter, but you can trigger whenever you want the stun to actually be. Now, this may actually surprise a lot of you guys, but coming in second place is going to be Typhoon. Yes, you heard that correctly, Typhoon. Now, it's not because of the first ability, even though the first ability was fixed, so now that you could actually hold it down for longer than you used to be able to. For some reason, it was actually bugged before, and the third ability is also okay. You know, it kind of just like, you know, it's an iframe, it dinks people, it is what it is. The second ability is where the actual insane part of Typhoon is at, and please be aware that this was always in the game, but the fact that they made it you cannot auto dodge mid combo now unless they do over 150,000 damage basically makes this ability insanely overpowered. So I'm gonna do any stun. You can do any stun. Sunbokuu stun works the best though, and boom, look, and then the tornadoes will continuously hit them after the fact. So as you guys can see, 150,000 damage instantly, and if the tornadoes randomly hit them, it could do up to like 210, 250,000 damage from that ability alone. And obviously, guys, that's insanely busted, and it has to rank second just for that alone. By the way, guys, what is your favorite Elemental Bloodline of Shindo Life? Feel free to tell me in the comments below. Coming in first place is going to be Ryan Gaiden. Now, I know this one's going to be under a bit of contention because Ryan Gaiden is actually the only Bloodline on here that has a mode. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it is a C mode bloodline that is equivalent to the element slots, because Ryan Gaiden was originally an EKG that they just slapped a mode onto. So I do feel like Ryan Gaiden is an EKG in essence. It was meant to be an EKG, but they kind of just added a mode, which is obviously really cool. Adding a mode to something is cool. I do like the fact that it's only C mode with you know, the element slots. I do feel like that kind of makes it an EKG in essence, because if you don't want to use the mode, you don't have to, because it's still an EKG. But I do feel like if you guys do not want to regard this as an EKG itself, that's very respectable. In other words, then just take this off the list and every other one moves one higher. But in the case of this list, I will be regarding it as an EKG. And yes, Ryan Gaiden right now is the #1 EKG in the game. You know, obviously the first ability is pretty bad because of the end lag, but other than the first ability, the third ability is an uncancelable ability. After you actually get the hand sides, that is loud, by the way. After you actually get the hand sides, it is uncancelable. It does have a gap, despite what people think. It has a gap. All right, so I'm going to use the third ability on him. He has a counter equipped. I'm told him to start spamming it when the Sasano actually starts. So I am right next to this guy, and as you guys can see, there is a gap between the air combo and the actual move. Not only that, but the move actually does get stuck on terrain quite a bit, so unless the terrain is completely flat, then yeah, but the move does have a very tiny gap. You know, it's kind of just a luck-based thing, because if they spam the move hard enough, obviously it's going to trigger, but sometimes they don't know it has a gap, so it's just fine as a move. It's kind of broken if the gap was removed. But the thing that makes Ryan Gaiden so good is this second ability. As you guys can see, I did an air combo, instantly used the second ability, and it actually extends perfectly. And people are saying that, like, you know, sometimes it doesn't combo extend properly, but that's kind of just like a skill issue. As you guys can see, I just had a major skill issue there because I wasn't able to extend the combo. But if you guys are on the ground, the ability will be extendable 100%. And I'll just go ahead and show you guys the mode real quick. It doesn't really even matter because that's not even the point of this video, but I'll show you guys it real quick. This is a counter. He's not gonna hit me. That's perfectly fine. Weapon spec, you basically click on someone, it does a lot of damage, and then the throwable, you know, the throwable's like Tengoku weapon spec, but significantly better. Anyways, guys, if you guys actually enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys actually want to see another one. Also, if you guys haven't yet, feel free to go to my second channel and subscribe to it. I will be live streaming and uploading other games and stuff like that on that channel, so be sure to go and do that. Anyways, guys, hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.